Greetings and salutations. Today I'm going to be working on the Hoop the Old 98 Jeep, and specifically I'm going to be giving some attention to the cooling system here. Jeep Cherokees aren't known for their great cooling. You know, when the engineers designed this vehicle, you know, they had very little room to install a large radiator. So the radiator on the Jeep Cherokees is wide, but it's only maybe a foot tall. As you can see, it's not very tall. So as a result, these things tend to run a little bit hot, even when it's 105, 110 degrees outside, and I got the windows rolled up and air conditioning cranking out as much as it can crank out. If I'm rolling down the highway at 65, 75 miles an hour, it's no big deal. Runs at 195 all day long. Where I'm beginning to have issues, it's reared its ugly head a couple of times now where it's overheated at trail speeds, you know, under 20 miles an hour. Even without the air conditioning running, and even with the heater going, it'll tend to run 220, 230, and that's not good. These engines don't like to run really hot. So the engineers knew that. You know, they had a limited amount of space for an adequate radiator. So they filled what space they had with a radiator, but you also have an air conditioning condenser in front of that. And in my case, a transmission cooler that is adding heat to the airstream. And yeah, so the bottom line is the factory cooling is adequate for most scenarios, but a failure in either of these two things could spell disaster. So you may have noticed that I'm missing my fan shroud that is supposed to go around this factory mechanical fan. And this has a clutch fan on it. And the way these clutch fans work is that there's a fluid coupler inside of there, and as the air that's passing over this aluminum housing here in the front heats up, it expands the fluid that's in there and it locks up at lower speeds. And when it's cold, it slips. It's probably a good idea that you inspect your clutch fan, if you have a clutch fan, that you inspect this periodically to make sure that the thing is nice and tight and that it's not about to fail on you. Because let me tell you, when these things fail, they usually take the radiator with them. But mine is missing the fan shroud, which kind of makes this already inefficient cooling fan even more inefficient, because it's drawing air from around the fan instead of drawing it all through the shroud and through the radiator. This fan is adequate for highway speeds, like I mentioned. In fact, you could probably run without a fan at all at highway speed. By the actual act of driving the car through the air, you're forcing air in through the radiator. So at slower speeds, this is probably not going to be adequate, which is why they put an electric backup in here. And in what this is supposed to work also whenever you have the air conditioning on, this will engage the electric fans will engage, and they'll turn on and off as the computer places demand for it. The problem with this one is this is a junkyard part that I bought for the blue Jeep, and I'm not even sure this thing works. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this thing out and I'm going to test it and make sure. I'm just going to hook it directly to battery voltage, make sure this thing works. It doesn't sound very promising. I know that when this thing had the fan shroud, even with the fan shroud missing, the original electric fan that was in here, it would never get hot. So I know that adding an electric fan certainly is going to improve the performance of the cooling system, but I think also removing this mechanical fan and putting another electric fan in here that runs constantly, I think is going to be a better alternative in the long run to keep this thing cool. At this point in time, I'm not putting huge tires on this thing and placing more of a demand on the engine, driving up the temperature. So I'm not going to do anything about the radiator. And the radiator's relatively new. It's in good shape, so I'm not going to mess with that. But I am What I am going to try to do today is hook up some electric fans, 2 of them. One that runs all the time, and one that runs whenever the computer is placing a demand on it. But first I need to determine whether or not this E-fan is any good, and if it's not, it's going in the garbage. I'll get into the garage, we'll take this fan off, test it, make sure see if it's any good. Well, we know that works. What I'm hoping to replace the mechanical fan with is this Ford Taurus fan. Now, this isn't the coveted SHO Ford Taurus fan that so many people like to use because those flow a lot of air. These flow pretty good too, and I bought 2 of these a long time ago to put in the Suburban, but I never got around to doing that. So I'm going to see if I can't cram 2 of these into this Jeep, and I don't know if that's going to be possible because I have a steering box in the way on this side, and it might actually stick up too far. But I think I can get away with replacing the mechanical fan with this, which does a couple of things. That reduces the unsprung weight on the front of the engine and saves wear and tear on some of the rotating assembly on the accessory drive. Right now this is set up as that's the way it's supposed to do it. Yep. First thing I need to do is detach this wire, so I end up shorting it out and catching my truck on fire. I need to remove this mechanical fan and then put the nuts back on so the pulley don't come off and destroy my shop. underneath and see what the hell is going on here. Alright, since I know this one works, I'm going to test this and see if I can't get the water temperature up enough for this to kick on. Now usually when I have the air conditioning running, this is running pretty quickly. So plug this back in. Got the Taurus fan in. Got plenty of clearance. I utilized an existing hole in the core support in the rubber isolator, and I had 2 rubber isolators for the bottom, and on the I guess it would be the left side, I just modified the bracket and screwed it directly to the unibody, and on this side I had to make a little bracket that I screwed up from the bottom of the core support with a small screw like this, and after I had ground the self-tapping tip off of it after I drilled the hole in it, so this won't go all the way up into the radiator. I gotta wire this yet, so I got a relay. I don't know where I'll mount the relay, probably just zip tie it to something. Let's see if I can't get this fan to activate. Use some tools so I don't end up sending a wrench to the radiator. That would be a bad day. Another maintenance item I'm going to have to do here pretty soon is replace the fuel pump assembly. I bought a fuel pump assembly shortly after I bought this, this truck about 3 years ago. Just haven't installed it. I just noticed that it's not making that cricket noise no more either. So I'll let this sit and run for a couple of minutes to see if the heat fan will pop on. That the f is that? Well, that's less than ideal. What the f is that all about? Oh, look. No air conditioning, no good. I might just have to get rid of this damn thing. So right in the back of the compressor right there, it's, I mean, you can see it's coating the inside of my freaking shit with compressor oil.
A few moments later.
I'm sitting here in a driveway now for what, probably 15 minutes. I've got both fans running. Well, with 2 fans going, I'm just under 210 degrees. I'm going to wire both of these fans to run whenever the ignition is on. So one of the things I can do to improve the cooling is put some spacers on the hinge of the hood. And what that will do is raise up the back of the hood so it's off the cowl. And what that will do is introduce fresh air into the engine compartment. That's why cowl induction hoods work so well, because as the air comes over the car, it gets sucked back into, it does create a negative pressure, but it creates a vortex at the cowl, and that will suck fresh air into the engine compartment and help push some of that heat out of the engine bay. Another thing I could do is put vents in the hood, which is probably what I'll end up doing, because I don't like the looks of having the hood stick up an inch from the rest of the body. It's not very clean. But I'm holding here in the driveway at idle. Well, actually at 1500 RPMs at about 32 pounds of oil pressure and 210 degrees. Maybe I'll get some water wetter and introduce that into the cooling system. But I guess the next test will be to take it out and actually put it through some, because I'm not operating the transmission and introducing that heat into the system. I might end up putting on my fan powered transmission cooler in here to help cool the transmission fluid before it gets to the rad. On a side note, my friggin' air conditioning compressor stopped blowing its friggin' lid and spewing the inside of the engine compartment with compressor oil, and the air conditioning is burning. The air conditioning's blowing ice freaking cold, so there must have been a high pressure situation or a temporary blockage or something in the system, and it cleared itself. So AC's working fantastically. But the auxiliary fan never came on, and I was at over 210 degrees and it just never came on. So wire in the relays and see if I can't get this cleaned up a little bit. All right, so this is how we're leaving it today. I have just temporarily, I have to get some wire loom. I have to get a couple of inline fuses. But right now I only have one fan hooked up, and I have both relays set up on this little switch right here. So I can shut them both down. They'll both be operating on the run position of the key switch. Probably either tomorrow or Saturday I'll take it out and do a dry run. Go up in the desert here and do some wheeling and see if it gets hot. If it does, well, we're gonna have to do something different. But for right now, I'm out of time. I gotta go pick up my kids up their after school activities at school. So that's all I got for today. At this time, I'd like to invite you to click the sub button, and if you do, please click the bell icon that's right next to it so YouTube will let you know next time I upload a video. If you like this video, smash that like button. That's the best thing you can do for this channel. And then share this video with your vast social media network. If you're so inclined to support this channel financially, there's a few ways you can do that. Either through the Amazon affiliate links, either buying the products directly or going through the links to get whatever you do want. If you want to throw a couple bucks in the kitty, you can click on the PayPal link. And if you want to support this channel on a monthly basis, there's the Patreon link. Encourage you to go check out Patreon and see what the different tier levels have to offer. And if you can afford to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for those of you who do. So until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep your powder dry, and have a splendid day. Thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye.